If your team runs cloud workloads, AI services, developer pipelines, or internet-facing infrastructure, today's security question is simple. Which patch changes your blast radius first? This is Daily Tech Hack Global for July 20th, 2026. The facts in this briefing come from MVD, CISO when reachable, and linked vendor advisories. I will keep the discussion defensive, no exploit commands, no payloads, and no step-by-step attack chains. The lead item is CVE 2026-54052. NVD describes it as, N8N MCP is an MCP server that provides AI assistants access to N8N node documentation, properties, and operations. Prior to 2.56.1, in HTTP mode with multi-tenancy enabled through enable_multi_tenant equals true, N8N MCP's local workflow version history backups were not isolated per tenant, allowing an authenticated tenant to read workflow version snapshots belonging to other tenants and delete or destroy other tenants' stored backups, including full node definitions, credential references, and authorization headers. The recorded severity is critical with CVSS 9.9. Why it matters: agent tools often forward credentials or call internal APIs, so path scope, least privilege, and audit logs matter as much as model behavior. The second item is CVE 2026-9135. NVD summarizes it as, IBM Langflow OSS 1.0.0 through 1.10.0 Langflow versions up to 1.9.2, commit 94981C443D4918517B98163D70FC598DC33A32D, contain a code injection vulnerability in the policies components toolguard integration that bypasses the allow_custom_components equals false security control. The vulnerability exists because the validation mechanism only checks the main component source code in node_template, code, value, but fails to validate dynamic code input fields that. Severity is critical with CVSS 9.9. The operational takeaway is to map this advisory to exposed systems, service credentials, and any automation that can turn a small weakness into a larger incident. Item 3 is CVE 2026-48356. Adobe Commerce is affected by an unrestricted upload of file with dangerous type vulnerability that could result in arbitrary code execution in the context of the current user. An attacker could exploit this vulnerability to inject malicious scripts into a web page, potentially gaining elevated access or control over the victim's account or session. Exploitation of this issue requires user interaction and that of victim. Severity, critical, CVSS 9.6. Defensive context, prioritized by exposure, privilege, reachable credentials, and whether automation can amplify impact. Item 4 is CVE 2026-13221. Perl versions through 5.43.9 produce silently incorrect regular expression matches when an alternation of more than 65,535 fixed string branches is compiled into a tree in Perl_study_chunk. When such branches are combined into a tree, the delta between the first branch and the shared tail is stored in a 16-bit field. A branch count above 65,535 overflows the field, and the tree's match decision table is truncated with. Severity, critical, CVSS 9.1. Defensive context, prioritized by exposure, privilege, reachable credentials, and whether automation can amplify impact. Here is the defender checklist. First, identify whether any affected product is internet-facing, reachable from CI systems, or reachable by AI agents and automation. Second, patch according to the vendor advisory, not just the headline score. Third, review service accounts, API keys, pod identities, OAuth apps, and tool credentials that could be reused if the affected system was compromised. Fourth, add monitoring around unusual admin actions, image pulls, tool calls, authentication failures, and outbound network requests. Fifth, document what was patched and what was deferred so tomorrow's team can audit the risk instead of rediscovering it. The larger lesson is that AI security is not only prompt security. It is the security of runtimes, cloud services, tool connectors, identity boundaries, and the operational process that decides what gets patched first. Patch what is exposed, reduce what is privileged, rotate what may have leaked, and make automation prove what it is allowed to touch.